So First Nephi 10, Nephi recounts some of the prophecies that Lehi makes. Lehi prophesies about the Babylonian captivity. A lot of other prophets during the time of Lehi were prophesying about that. And then he prophesies about Jesus Christ coming about 600 times, 600 years from the time of the Babylonian captivity. And some other prophets were prophesying about that, but I thought as I was reading this, why is Lehi telling his sons about this? Because they're not going to live to see Jesus Christ. Why do they need to know 600 years before the event what's going to happen? What's the point? And they might not know, but I think that the fact that Nephi recorded it and that it was said is something that shows that to the people 600 years from the time that it was known about before, and that God is fulfilling his prophecies, right? Or actually, even more accurately, because this record wasn't going to go to the people in Jerusalem who would see the fulfillment of these prophecies. This record's coming to us, right? So he is prophesying 600 years before the coming of Christ, that Christ will come. And so we read it and we say, oh yeah, that happened. Okay. If we believe in Jesus Christ, if we're Christian, right, we will say, oh yeah, that happened. Jesus Christ did come about 600 years after the Babylonian captivity. Okay. So he testifies of Christ. He testifies of, he says John the Baptist. So this points to Isaiah, right? So he's saying, so it's a way of, he's quoting Isaiah here, so it's a way of saying, I'm not the only one prophesying about this. And so as I'm thinking about, why is he telling the Nephites this? They're not going to see the fulfillment of it. They're not going to, these are just prophecies, but they're not things that will impact their lives directly, or they won't be things that they live through. But it will impact their lives, I suppose, and it can give them hope and maybe motivate them and let them know what God's plan is. But then as I was reading, he moves up from the time of the Messiah to the time of the scattering and the gathering, that the word of the Lord, that the children of Israel in verse 13 should be scattered upon all the face of the earth. And after the house of Israel should be scattered, they should be gathered together again, or in fine, after the Gentiles had received the fullness of the gospel, the natural branches of the olive tree, or the remnants of the house of Israel, should be grafted in, or come to the knowledge of their true Messiah, their Lord and their Redeemer. So the idea that the Gentiles would become converted to Christianity and to the gospel, and then the children of Israel would be grafted in and come back to knowledge. And so part of the effect is, to the modern reader, who is the person who's going to be reading this book, is okay, Lehi is prophesying about things that for sure did happen, like the Babylonian captivity, and the coming of Jesus Christ. And then he's coming to a prophecy that is to happen in our day. And so rhetorically, this is saying, look, he prophesied about this and this happened. He prophesied about this and this happened. And this is what's going to happen. So if you take the theory that this is actually a prophecy from Lehi, it's a way of saying, it's a way of being like, okay, God fulfilled prophecy 1, God fulfilled prophecy 2, and God will fulfill prophecy 3. If you take the theory that Joseph Smith just wrote the Book of Mormon, then he has the benefit of hindsight, and he could say, oh, I'm going to pretend like Lehi prophesied this and Lehi prophesied that, and then I want you guys to think that this is going to be a real prophecy too. But this is also a prophecy that other prophets have testified of, just like the other two prophecies too. So Lehi, the Book of Mormon, is not the only witness of this, that the house of Israel would be scattered and then gathered again.